we're streaming live right now over Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and D Live. So if you're new to D Live or Twitch, which this podcast is, then the podcast is Milk Crates and Turntables. But all you people that are watching it on the other platforms, you know the name of it. People listening on the podcast platforms, you know the name of it. So I didn't have to say it. But anyways, thank you, Amanda, for that wonderful introduction. So yeah, tonight I have Lou Colicchio, the one of the hosts of Music Relish podcast. You've heard him before. And without further ado, let me bring on the master, Lou Colicchio.
Hello. No, I'm not worthy.
Enough of that.
I feel like.
What's up, buddy?
Thank you. Not much, man. I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. It's always fun.
I'm all alone this time. I'm scared.
That's all right. It's about time you got your solo shot in the chair, Lou. I think you worked your way up to it.
I got it. Thank you. I'm honored. I'm honored.
So yeah, Jack, then Mark, then Tom, then Mark, and now you finally get. I'm telling you, Perry. I think Perry is he's ghosting. And I've never even met him, and he's ghosting me.
He's ghosting all of us. That's what he does.
Everybody.
We're building him up to be a huge enigma here. Like the Yeti.
So what's not to be confused with the mic, the Yeti, which sucks, but that's just my opinion. Really. So what's new on the Music Relish podcast? Anything? What have you guys been up to?
We're waiting for our latest one to be developed and booted up to YouTube and other formats. I think there's an editing issue. We're just we're doing that same thing. Mark is I don't know if we didn't do it the week before. We did it last week. And it's I always forget. Yeah, you asked me the last time what we spoke about. I forgot.
You got bumped though, didn't you? Didn't you guys get your YouTube?
We played on. Perry played Pete Best on "Love Me Do," his version of "Love Me Do," the demo recording they made. And I guess it went on too long, but I guess you don't mess with the Beatles because they clipped that. So what he did is he edited it down to that point and then left it off. So we went for that.
That's
cool. I got it's in my notebook here. So. It's in my notebook. Everything I know is in this notebook.
Even though you know it, you still write it down.
Yeah, that's why I write it down because I can't remember. I'll forget it.
A virtual cornucopia of music knowledge you have.
Yes. Thank you. You too. Last week, and can I get Mike Love for a second? Tom Spallone, you're too chicken shit to debate me.
There's a sound right there.
No, I was embarrassed. I was mortified. It was soundly defeated.
You get a chance to at least redeem yourself solo tonight. I'll give you 5 more questions. I kind of like that at the end of the show, just kind of throwing out some trivia questions.
Yeah.
And it's all about the audience, right? It's all about the content that we put out there. And I think my feedback has been pretty good on the trivia questions because people can, as they're driving to work or driving home, they can kind of play along with it. And, then the top 10 this week, it's top 10 in 1992. I was going to do 2002. And I went and I looked. I said, "Oh, that is a fucking shitty list."
Oh, is it really? Well, that's when you sent me this morning. So so it's 92.
I changed it. I'm like, I can't read this fucking garbage. I can't. I'll lose the small amount of listeners that I already have.
I'm done.
The downloads start going down. Yeah, that was a bunch of shit in the early 2000s. There's a generation that likes it, I guess. It's not me and my generation.
I'm going to look it up afterwards. I'm curious.
Oh, it's fucking horrible.
Pretty bad. Okay.
It's bad. You know what? Let me see. I can pull it. Let me pull it up right now. As a matter of fact. Yeah. No, I don't want to do that, kid. Let me get I can pull it. Let me do a little computering here. Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. All right.
It was 2002.
2002, right? The The top 10 for this week in 2002. And oh my God. So number 10 was Nothing by Nore, right? Number 9 was Happy by Ashanti. Number 8 was Just Like a Pill, Pink. Number 7 was Down for You. Irv Gotti presents the Ink, featuring Ja Rule, Ashanti, Charlie Baltimore, and Vida. Number 6 was Gangsta Lovin' by Eve, featuring Alicia Keys. Number 5 was I Need a Girl by P. Diddy and Genuine, featuring Noon, Mario Winans, and Tammy Ruggieri. Number 4 was Just a Friend by Mario. Number 3 was Complicated by Avril Lavigne. There's a thing about Avril Lavigne. I'll talk about that in a second. Okay. Number 2 was Hot in Here by Nelly. And number 1 was Dilemma by Nelly, featuring Kelly Rowland. So it's a bunch of fucking garbage.
Wow.
So
I'm familiar with maybe 3 of those songs.
Yeah, and that's probably 3 more than I've heard them. But Nelly was hot, in the late 90s to early 2000s. But there's this Avril Lavigne conspiracy theory going on, and I stumbled across it some time ago that that the real Avril Lavigne like bailed, like she just couldn't take it anymore, and she just kind of bailed out and flew the coop, and the record company found a girl that looked just like her.
Wow.
And said, this is like kind of what they're doing with Joe Biden right now. They got a look-alike, right? Well, that's what the whole conspiracy theory about Avril Lavigne is, because you go online, and I'm almost positive it's her, and they'll be like, this was Avril Lavigne in this year. Then you see that, this was her like 2 years later, and they stopped pointing out the differences, and there was a difference in how she sang, and all this. It's pretty interesing. It's pretty interesting.
Is it worth it for her to do that? I mean, was she that huge, where she has to keep this thing going?
Yeah, she was big.
I know she was. Yeah.
The record company needed to keep it going. She didn't want to, as the conspiracy theory goes. She wanted out. She was like, I can't do this shit. It's crazy. I'm losing my mind,
I can understand that.
Yeah.
It's a crazy business when you're young, too.
She's a young girl. Yeah. And so they said they put a look-alike in there and a sound-alike, kind of like, you get this, these, and I said this before, these tribute bands are just fucking creepy to me.
Oh, yeah.
Tribute bands are creepy. Now, the tribute bands that like go all out, like I went on a cruise with my wife a couple of years, 3-4 years back, and there was this Journey cover band. It's like the first night on the ship, you go, and there's like, it's a free show in the auditorium, and it's a Journey tribute band, and there's the guy with the fucking wig on, the
Steve Perry wig,
in the fucking yellow leopard like shirt, in the tuxedo jacket with the tight jeans and the sneakers, like dancing around. And, okay, he sounded like him, but it just creeps me out. I'm like, this dude probably walks around like just looking for this attention. Like,
it's like being an Elvis impersonator. It's kind of eerie. There's something eerie about it.
Well, I have to disagree slightly. Elvis impersonators have become their own entity. Like
they're like the Grateful Dead. I mean, it's I hear you there, but
there's so many varieties though of Elvis impersonators. The young Elvis, the middle-aged Elvis, the fat Elvis, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever see
there's only one Steve Perry.
Exactly. There's only one Steve Perry. Have you ever seen or heard the band Dred Zeppelin?
Yeah. Oh yes. Tortelvis.
Tortelvis.
Got a whole lot of love.
Fucking great. I mean,
very original.
This is brilliant concept.
That's a brilliant tribute.
Yeah. The Jamaican style.
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin songs and in the Elvis songs themselves. And what does he have? He has his lackey, the dude that comes out with the towels. I forget his name.
Yeah.
And he has like the cheap suit on, and it's just a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing. But
I have a friend who's in the Van Halen tribute act for quite a while, and it's like they're good, but at one time I'm like, he's not gonna listen to this. it's like I'm almost uncomfortable watching it sometimes. It's like okay, I love you, but all right.
Yeah.
And hope you're getting paid nicely. I'm sure. But
Oh, you better be.
yeah, you better be.
But you're just like, I don't
Not
know.
easy being Michael Anthony.
Exactly. Yeah, you do that. Like you get the dude like what Tim Conway used to do with Dorf. So he's got the fucking shoes on his knees, and he's like, that little character where he's like
Right,
this
right.
short dude. That's Michael Anthony with the bass guitar.
And that voice, those high harmonies, it was a signature of theirs. But
Yeah.
I read an interview. Eddie Van Halen goes, he was not a lead singer. If you heard Michael Anthony sing lead, it would be weird. He said, he's got a voice like a piccolo trumpet, where he can hit those high notes. But he goes, like some people are better backup singers than lead vocalists. They sing lead, it's not quite what it might need to be.
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah,
great point. Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. So it's stay in your lane. Don't think you're gonna go solo because
right,
you do the backup vocals for David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar.
right.
And I think he knew his role. I think he was.
Absolutely, absolutely, and maybe an unsung role too in a lot of ways. I mean,
I think later on he got his credit. I think later on he got his credit, but early on, you're right.
No, yeah,
Unsung hero, so to speak, of those vocals, of the harmonies, I should say, of the harmonies in Van Halen, right?
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Van Halen, my friend.
Correct.
We're going to kick off the topical part of the show with give me, we'll do it this way like Jack and I do it.
Okay.
I want your 5 favorite, no, not best. No, I learned this lesson from Jack, which I don't really follow it unless I'm talking to Jack. But if I said to you, give me the best Tom Petty songs, would you take it literally, or would you say what you think is the best Tom Petty songs?
What I think is the best at on any given day. It's some of the you do a best of thing sometime, like tomorrow might be different, but today, but it's like
if I ask you the question, hey, give me the best, and you're gonna tell me what your best what you think the best are, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's kind of like but Jack would be like, well, it depends on what you say the best is. Like, are you saying you can't really, it's kind of, it's kind of subjective when you say the best. I'm like, fuck, you don't know what I mean? Like, I think he does. He still does.
He wants to be, he's a contrarian, maybe. Just kind of,
yeah, he's a contrarian, all right.
All right.
Contrarian in my ass. Yeah. So I want your 5 favorite Tom Petty songs. And this is tough. This is not an easy.
They never are.
They never are. No, which is. Oh, go on.
Especially when you've written so many great songs, and over that many years. But certain things, like I said, I thought about this. I had a good amount of time to think about some of it. I'm like, okay, what were things that just really kind of gut punched me?
Right.
Like a more like a very visceral reaction to it. I mean, but I got 5.
Now, what we have is we're probably. What's the over under for you and I having the same songs? 2?
I bet
matching. Like, only have that one.
I think 2's a fair bet.
Two's a fair bet.
Yeah, I think it's a fair bet.
We're gonna have the same, right?
Yeah.
I also have a list from my friend, my lifelong, my best friend, the fabulous Phil Kelly. He sent me his 5, so I'm going to read his.
Yeah.
Let me read his first, since he's not sitting in on the show. All right, let's see. He said, all right, he has Petty songs. He has Breakdown, right? He has Night Watchman.
Interesting.
So there's actually a story behind that. Do you know the story behind that song?
I don't, but I have a spoof on
it. So he started getting really popular in the 80s, and it came to the point where he had to kind of have security, and it kind of freaked him out. He said it was he was very reluctant. Said it was kind of to him it was kind of creepy, right? But he didn't want some fucking 18-year-old girl standing in his living room if he got up one morning, right? And I believe this is after his house had burned down.
Okay.
Right. So that was what in Encino, I believe, California. But so he says that this guy would show up every night and he would look out the window and he would see the guy sitting. He said, and the guy was like in a cage. It was like, but I'm thinking it was a guard shack, right? And it was behind the fence. It was by the front door. And he felt bad for the guy. He's like, the guy sits there every night. He shows up at when it gets dark, and he leaves at dawn, dawn, dusk to dawn, pretty much, right? And so, and he said it's winter time and it's fucking cold. I don't know where he was, but so he's kind of a night creature. And he said, I felt bad, so I kind of went out and I befriended the guy. Like I would just go out and fucking talk to him and hang out with him. And he asked, the guy is a 38, right? And he says, he asked him, he said, would you ever use that? Like, would you get in a shootout here? And the guy said in a low voice, well, I do have a job to do and I'm very good at what I do. So, and then he says, well, I hope you don't have to use it on an 18-year-old girl because I think that might be overkill. Right? Right?
Wow.
So that's where the line, yeah, I got a permit to wear this 38, but listen, my life's worth more than minimum wage. That's where that line came from.
Wow.
He wears the 38. So yeah, that's where the song Night Watchman came from. Just hanging out with this guy that was guarding his house.
Wow.
And kind of getting to know him.
It's a weird, that was one of the first songs of his that I'd heard that sounded a little different than some of the others. Like I said, it's darker. There's a creepier, the music itself, that kind of riffy thing, but
yeah. Plus he said, he was literally the only other person awake that time of night.
That time of night, yeah.
I'm gonna talk to somebody, right?
Go talk to the Night Watchman.
Well, that's where Night Watchman came from. And so what he said, out in the cold, here comes my girl, and let me see, jamming me. I think that's what he said.
Okay.
And he said and I got his 5 favorite albums too. So I don't know what jamming me. I don't know if have you ever heard that one?
Yeah, that's I forgot what the album is. You're jamming me, you're jamming.
Oh yeah. Here comes my girl.
That almost made my list.
Here comes my girl.
It's not on it though.
No. So that's the fabulous Phil Kelly's 5, and I gave him a story to go with that. So
yeah.
With that said, give me your number 5.
Okay. They're not in any order of what I prefer. There's 5. Don't do me like that. That, and just for the drums, there's a drum fill Stan Lynch does there that I just did my hardest to replicate. When I learned to play drums on an album a lot, Damn Torpedo. So that was one of the things I caught on first. But I thought the drums were great. It's just a great feel. That the beginning, bam, bam, it's just great. It's so catchy. I mean, that guy Tom, he wrote amazingly, and he can write like 30 songs with the same chords, and it's just everyone's different.
Yeah.
It's just that 3-chord rock sometimes, and just the lyrics are just what a great writer. But I think also that was a great year in music, 1979. That's a music relish favorite. We get fixated on that year sometimes just because of the albums that came out. Great year, and not just rock too.
I know.
But, yeah.
Yeah. The thing about Tom Petty is his songs aren't complicated. They're very straightforward.
Yeah, very much.
They're not. There's no real intricate sounds in there. It's just kind of straight rock and roll, and it's good. It's just fucking good.
Even Don't Come Around Here No More. It went to this like neo psychedelic thing. But then
Yeah.
it breaks into this 4 bar, this 4 on the floor, rock part. So even at the heart of that song, it's just that that song could have come out differently, and still been great probably. But yeah, he's like one of those last real American sounding bands. I mean, who are the great American bands of the latter half of our millennium and stuff like that? I
That's
mean,
that's a show right there,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's a show.
yeah,
All right, my number 5 is from Wildflowers, his solo album, because this can go either way, solo or
yeah.
with
Okay,
the Heartbreakers, right?
okay.
So either way it goes. Um, from 1994, "You Wreck Me,"
Yeah, great song.
right? And it's
Yeah,
just such a great. And there's that breakdown where it just goes low in the like around the middle.
right. With
And
the corduroy pin, yeah.
that's the line. "I'll be the boy in the corduroy pants. You be the girl at the high school dance." Right?
That is a great line.
Think of that, dude. That's
Yeah.
70s. That is
Oh
fucking
yeah.
70s to the bone.
Yeah, you're walking down. It's 8th grade. You're walking down the hallway. And you're going because your corduroy pants are rubbing together.
And corduroys were the
Yeah.
shit, weren't they?
With cuffs.
With cuffs. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Or
that's
the
so
bell
bad.
bottoms. It was corduroy
Yeah.
bell bottoms too. Yeah.
You'll never lose your change out of your pockets.
And kids don't have matter of fact, they can count the change, how much you have in your pocket. And the high school dance, kids don't do that shit anymore.
No. I went to one high school dance.
We used to go all the time and drink
Yeah.
fucking.
Oh, cool.
We get someone to buy Tango. You ever drink Tango?
Oh my. No,
Oh.
but I've seen so many empty bottles of that on a beach. I lived as a kid. I lived on a bay. There was always Tango bottle. That was like a screwdriver, wasn't it?
It was like a screwdriver though. So
Oh my
when you're a
God.
kid, it was like good. So I haven't drank in I think going on 32 years now. But
Okay.
at one point, I said, let me get a little fucking pint of this shit, right? And I took a sip, and it was like fucking drinking orange Kool-Aid with rubbing alcohol and extra sugar. It was fucking disgusting.
Nasty.
Like extra sugar. Like
Yeah. Oh,
it
fuck
was
you
just
up.
oh, it's a drunk diabetic's dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
I managed a liquor store. We sold wine and beer. We sold liquor and other things. That's I got Perry a job there. That was one of our cohort jobs. We've had many. But we said like Richard's Wild Irish Rose, the Mad Dog. I opened up a Wild Irish Rose. I said, guys, we're gonna try this. It's the same thing. You could probably run your car on it for a while, and it's just. I'm like this stuff shit kills people, man. It's just that's wino paper bag stuff, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's the old days.
There's a podcast called Business Wars. It's a great fucking podcast. And it's like Starbucks versus Dunkin' Donuts,
Okay.
Ford versus Chevy. You had Apple versus Dell. Like they go through all these Blockbuster versus Netflix, right? They go through, and one of them was the wine battles, right? So they had Ernest and Julio Gallo, and it's fucking done really, really well. I recommend people listen to it.
Cool.
Called Business Wars, and they do these little skits in there, like radio show type skits to kind of keep you in the moment. But there was Ernest and Julio Gallo invented. Were they the ones that did Thunderbird, or they did some fucking cheap ass wine?
Boone's Farm was them.
Was it Boone's Farm or something?
Yeah, they might have had something with one of those older aftershave alcoholic drinks.
But it became almost like a stigma to them because they would find those bottles would be everywhere. Like that's what the bums and the winos were buying. It was such a low quality wine.
Yeah.
Well,
I heard a story where that they actually had marketing people and on the street actually, distributing.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like crack was in the 80s.
That's what Tommy Hilfiger did with his stuff. He went into the hood, and I don't care if it's you can't call it the hood. That's not politically correct. Fuck you.
We called it then. I mean,
yeah, it's the hood. Yeah. But that's where he good. He would go into the hood and give out fucking shirts and polo shirts and rugby shirts in his clothes, and that's how he advertised. And then it caught on, and of course, he never contributed back to the roots of who made him popular, because they're like Nike. They're all scumbags like that, but corporate scumbags. All right, enough of that. Number 4.
Weasels.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 4 for me is I Need to Know from You're Gonna Get It 1978.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I Need to Know. And also on that album, you had Listen to Her Hot and Restless. So there was a couple of good songs. It's one of those albums that, you think these are, it came off that, but you go and you look at the album now and you're like, there was really only like 3 or 4 good songs on that album that you'd kind of, they weren't all great songs, but
Yeah.
the songs that came off that album or those albums were big.
That's why you had that third album make or break period for a lot of artists.
Yeah.
Tom Petty being one, and Bruce.
Yeah.
Like whatever was not working on those first 2 records is gone, and whatever worked on those first 2 records is being presented. But record companies would work with you.
You get those bands like the Cars and Van Halen where their second albums were totally different than the first albums.
Yeah.
Because, they could do that. Not every band had the talent to pull that off.
Right. And a little more freer too, like depending on the record label you're on. Some labels were more artist friendly. Warner Brothers would work with you over years. They made money. Now it's very a lot of formula. Everything became formulaic eventually, and that's why there's 5 bands do 5 years between albums now. I mean, that's that's fucking ridiculous. I mean, come on, I'm not gonna wait.
They must get paid a lot of money.
I might be dead by the time your next record comes out.
That might be that's a good show. Fucking bands that in between albums, someone dies in the band. And just never. There's gotta be bands that's happened to. They just never. Like the Gin Blossoms. The Gin Blossoms, the lead guitarist was the one that wrote all the songs, and he died after what, the first album or second album?
I think that big album that is, I don't know the name of it, but at that time he died.
And then they never recovered from that.
No.
And they were a good band, an Arizona band.
I like that drummer. They were a good band.
Yeah.
And some of those songs, you listen to the lyrics, they're pretty kind of depressing. The guy he had a big drinking problem. He died. I think he committed suicide actually.
Yeah.
But I read where the band bought his rights from him. I don't know if that's true or not.
That's
and knowing he's on his way out, kind of like.
Well, it's all business.
That's right.
It's a business, as you know.
Too much monkey business.
So what do you got? Give me a number 3.
Okay. Listen to Her Heart. Actually, I no. Actually, my number 5 was The Last DJ. We're going reverse order.
Oh, okay. Whatever it is, another one you give me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Last DJ was my number 5. I just happen to like that song. I like what he says about it. I like the chords. It's a real minery sounding, kind of dark,
is it?
kind of moody. Here comes the last DJ playing what he wants to play.
Right.
Good song. And a good statement too. And he's always kind of a young curmudgeon in music a lot of ways. He seemed like it. When I was at the album after Damn the Torpedoes, where he didn't want to sell it above a certain rate. That was something where with his record label, I don't know who they were. He goes, I'm not putting this record out. It was just too expensive. He thought they were gouging the fans.
Right.
He had that kind of stance. He was born a rebel.
Well, he's from what? He's from Gainesville, right?
Gainesville, Florida, yeah.
Florida.
You know what his middle name is?
What's his middle name?
It's so Southern. Earl.
That's right. It's
Thomas Earl Petty. Man.
So you had the debut album in 76, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. 78, You're Gonna Get It. 79, Damn the Torpedoes. I think that was his real breakout. Damn the Torpedoes was a big breakout album for him. Right?
Did you ever see the doc, the making of that?
I think I have. I've seen a couple of Tom Petty documentaries, but I'll go see it. I'll watch it again.
It's interesting because it was difficult. Jimmy Iovine was the producer. He worked with Springsteen on some stuff, and Stan Lynch, the drummer, was on the ropes. Interesting because I think the guy's great. He was an influence on, like, when I saw that, I'm like, are they crazy? I mean, how are the drums not working on these songs? Because they felt great to me, even on the radio. And I even thought that the way he worked, the drums weren't working with Petty's vocals. There were some things. So they brought in all these other hotshot drummers. None of them could do it.
Yeah. And that was a big thing with, they didn't think that he was keeping up. They didn't think the drummer was keeping up. And that's why they eventually replaced him. Like I'm not a drummer. So I was like, what
Yeah.
isn't he doing
Oh,
right? Like, what
yeah.
isn't he? But they hear those shit. The musicians, they hear that.
Okay, well, one of my choices here when we get actually my number two is addresses that issue because I think the
Okay.
drumming's great on it. I
All
don't know.
right.
I don't. Maybe there's a conflict you and I couldn't see even as a drummer. I couldn't see it maybe or hear it. But he sang all those high backup harmonies, those early songs. That was
Yeah.
Stan Lynch singing as well. But
So my buddy, my great friend Mark Talent, aka Uncle Tal Bono Gretzky
Mark
Hall
Allen.
of Fame, uh,
Hey, Mark.
Damn is one of my favorites, and I'm sure it is. Yeah, that was our time, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
that came out 79, was it? Let me see. Yeah, 79.
79. Yeah.
That
I
was
just
right
I
when everything started to kind of in our world take off because we was,
yeah.
middle teenagers, 16, 17, 18, and the shit just took off. Our whole life took off.
I just graduated high school. So
So I was
I
probably
graduated in
just
79.
beginning high school, I think, in 79. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but Damn the Torpedoes it's kind of one of those uh how could you say soundtracks of our youth.
Yeah.
You know, it just has so many good songs on it. But
It's
then yeah,
also yeah. I'm sorry.
no, go on.
It was like a real kind of a post disco real rock record. Like rock was reclaiming some ground back then. And the disco, like in retrospect, I love it. I think it's a lot of great music there. But it was losing the rock was there. I remember it was rock dead. I mean, that might have been the first time when people were asking if rock was dead.
Yeah.
But in 79, 80, they were kind of, I guess, punching back a little bit against disco. Maybe not intentionally to do that, but that was a strong record.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. And then in 81, you had Hard Promises, 82, Long After Dark, 85, Southern Accents, 87, Let Me Up, 91, let me see, Into the Great Wide Open, 96, Songs and Music from She the One, then Echo, Last DJ Mojo. Are those albums or those songs? Oh, that's his discography, yeah. Then his solos were Full Moon Fever, Wildflowers, Highway Company, Companion. Um, and he was one of those artists 76, 78, 79, 81, 82, 85, 87. Then they started stretching him out after that because I guess they started letting him. Bob Doucette says Breakdown, and I have a song in my coming up that I kind of touch on Breakdown. So, and it's my number 3 is Woman in Love,
okay,
right?
okay.
From Hard Promise,
Mhm.
81. Great summer song, right? Great video. It's one of those videos you see a clip from it and you just know what it is, right? It's black and white. But he sings that like he sings Breakdown. Don't let me do, don't
Yeah,
say nothing. You know how he has that kind
yeah,
of,
yeah.
he does
Uh-huh.
kind of an accent and Breakdown.
Yep,
It's
yep.
all right if you love me.
Breakdown.
It's
Yep.
all right if you don't. And he sings Woman in Love almost like that. Like I see a lot of the same type of
On the verses, his phrasing is like that.
the way he does it,
Almost
yeah, the
whispery.
way he
Yeah,
accents it or whatever. But Woman in Love is just it's in the Waiting was on that album too, and that's a great song too.
that's a great song.
But Woman in Love just kind of it. I was a senior in high school, or I had just graduated. I was getting ready to graduate when that came out, and it was a summer song, and that whole album was a summer album, and just a lot of good memories. But that song in particular stands out. It was everywhere.
Mm.
It was in heavy rotation. And I believe MTV had already been out. So the video was being played quite a bit, I believe. So
That's on Hard Promises.
Hard Promise, yeah. So yeah, Woman in Love is my number 3, just a great, great song. It goes high, then low, fast, then slow. All right, give me a number 2.
Number 2, Mary Jane's Last Dance.
So far, we haven't matched up any.
I
That's
know, I
interesting.
know.
That's interesting.
Yep.
So go on.
I love the groove on that song, and that was one of the last things Stan Lynch recorded before he left the Heartbreakers. And I think he was pretty critical of his playing too, but he's good. He said that was one song where I felt I nailed the whole thing. I felt really comfortable, and it just the fills are great. The groove on that's great. It's almost like a shuffle. A great song too. Great guitar riff.
Right.
Just a nice mid-tempo rocker, but it's got that classic Mike Campbell guitar on it.
Creepy video.
I've never seen the video.
What?
Yeah, yep.
Well, you got to YouTube it now. Do it,
Oh
Mark.
yeah.
Write it down. Mark writes he writes it down. Oh, wait, I got to hit. All right, I write that down. He writes it down. I know.
As I'm doing it. And it's in the notebook. It is in the notebook forever.
It's in the notebook.
This is going to be in the coffee table book.
It's the ongoing Bible. So my number two in Mary Jane's Last Dance is kind of related to my number two, which is American Girl. Now, Tom Petty, they asked him what it was about because there was this rumor, one of those, what is it, rock folklores, that American Girl was written about a student at the University of Florida at Gainesville that killed herself. And this whole thing, it went like wildfire. That's what this song was about. This was the equivalent of Phil Collins' Something in the Air. There was a story behind it that wasn't true. And Tom Petty basically poo-pooed. He said, no, that's not what it's about. He said, what American Girl is about, it's about a small town kid that knows there's more for them. There's more out there than what they're getting, but gets fucked trying to find it. Like they just can't get it, right? And like the song says, it says, she was raised on promises. He said, I've always felt sympathetic toward her. It's a girl, right? He wrote that in an apartment in Encino. Evidently, he liked Encino. That's where his house ended up being that got burnt down by an arsonist. But he said he would sit there, and it was near the highway, and it just reminded him with the line that says, like 441. What is it?
Like the waves crashing on the beach?
Yeah, that old 441. That old 441, like waves crashing. 441 is a road. It's actually right up the street from my house. It runs pretty much the length of Florida.
All right.
It's State Road 7. It's one of those old routes that people like Route 66.
Mm-hmm.
You have Dixie Highway and you have State Road 7, and it just kind of runs. So 441 runs pretty much from South Florida to North Florida because there was one in Gainesville. So he said that Mary Jane's Last Dance is pretty much about that same girl.
The Indiana girl, all the boys liked her, and she was out of there.
He always had this character and it was kind of like her that he wrote about, and he did well doing it, but it was in his mind, it was an ongoing story.
Yeah, recurring. Maybe the geography is different, whatever.
Not exactly the same, but the same. And unfortunately, in Mary Jane's Last Dance, she's dead. She dies.
Now, I wonder what the inspiration was for putting that in American Girl and Silence of the Lambs.
There you go. That should have been on the show last week. Yeah.
the movies, yeah. Well, again, because she was a senator's daughter, but she's this kind of this girl coming off from wherever she was going in college in her apartment, and she ends up getting abducted. But it's there for a reason.
Yeah. Let's see. He said, the American Girl is just one example of this character I write about a lot. Small town kid who knows there's more out there, but gets fucked trying to find it. Like the song says, she was raised on promises. So let's see. Yeah, he says it was next to the freeway. His apartment was next to the freeway, and the cars sometimes sounded like waves on the ocean, which is why there's a line about the waves crashing on the beach. Song marked the start of him writing about people who are longing for something else in life and are determined to get it. Mary Jane's Last Dance is the same girl. That's what he said.
Wow.
But yeah, so We have one song left to see if we, and I don't, there's no way, there is fucking no way we have the same song.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I can't think that this last song is going to be the same. So, what's your number one?
A Thing About You.
It's not the same.
I wouldn't think so, no.
No, when you said I was like, no fucking way.
Dude, the first syllable didn't make it. Damn.
Yeah, first syllable is like So what about that song?
It's just the lyrics are so simple. It's almost stupidly repetitious. I don't have them up, but it said, I got a thing about you. It just repeats that a lot. And there's some stanzas before that, but it's basically, it's his intention. It almost sounds like, like a go get the girl rock and roll song, but his intentions are good. There's other things going on there. He's a little bit different, but it's a real simple song. It's just a simple. I mean, I don't imagine it took that long to write, but it's not nothing. It's just it has a nice visceral reaction to me. It's just that is just like a real great American rock and roll.
Right.
And that was weird. Some Hard Promises. That was 1980, and I heard this can't be true. Like they've only had one top 10 hit. And someone said, I read where Don't Do Me Like That was their first top 10 hit, but only top 10 hit. But I don't think that's true.
I don't know. We'd have to look that up.
I think something like even like Don't Come Around Here No More. That was a big hit. I think that had to crack the top 10.
Into the Great Wide Open had to break the top 10.
Yeah.
That was a huge song.
Or even, I mean, like, Running Down a Dream. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure the chart placings on that, but I found I'm going to look that up because I thought that was not plausible.
Right.
But now if it was, it'd be amazing that, he came close to like, whatever, like number 14,
right.
A Thing About You hit number 14, but it didn't crack the top 10, but it's top 40. But actually, that song was on the Billboard Hot Country Singles tracks too. That's weird.
I know his albums broke because Full Moon Fever was peaked at number 3. And so how can you have a number 3 album but not have a top 10 song, right?
Yeah. It didn't seem right. What'd you think of the other drummer, the guy after Stan Lynch?
I didn't, again, I've said this, drummers I don't really pay attention to because I don't listen to the music like that. It just, if the beat is good, I've never heard a song where I'm like, oh, that drummer sucks. Right? Like
they're not going to hire someone who sucks, like sure.
Yeah. So as far as drummers go, I've never really taken a lot of stock in them or given my time to them other than the standouts, Stuart Copeland, Neil Peart, these guys.
Yeah, right.
But the drummer for Journey is as good as the drummer for fucking Survivor. I don't know.
Yeah, Survivor. That's the Survivor where they're on Scotty Brothers Records, in California.
There you go.
The Scotty Brothers. Perry told me he's going to kill me if I say this. No, he shouldn't. He drove cross country with a friend. His uncle delivered a bag of money to the Scotty Brothers. It's payola money.
I got a friend that
they're all dead now.
I got a friend that drove down to Florida, then back up from Florida with went down with nothing and came back with I could say it now, I'm retired, a lot of cocaine and a gun on their lap. So I'm just gonna
I hear you. Nice comfortable ride. Yeah.
True story. And
do that once.
Yeah. I don't know if they did it more than once, but yeah, that's definitely a go the speed limit trip.
Oh yeah. You inspected?
Yeah.
No lights out.
My number one, and this is my favorite Tom Petty song, is from Full Moon Fever, Face in the Crowd.
Ooh, good one.
Fucking love that song.
What a great song. I didn't even think about it. Yeah, that's a great song.
The beginning, that note, that it's just this extended note.
Yep.
And then it just drops and it starts into this very slow, methodical.
Really slow.
It's almost like It's Good to Be King. Good to Be King. I love that song too.
Yeah.
It's a little faster tempo than Facing the Crowd, but the story of Facing the Crowd it's fucking great. And I kind of figured out later that I can relate to it because that's how I met my second wife. Just kind of standing in line.
Okay.
At a coffee place inside a Barnes and Noble, just standing behind her. We just, you walk in and she's just another face in the crowd. And, it's 12 years later, 11 years later, we're married. We have, great life together. It's just pretty fucking cool. You listen to the lyrics and it's a well thought out song. Like you can tell just how he puts everything together, It's a well thought out song. See, the thing about him was he wrote all his songs, right? Full Moon Fever. Yeah. He did that actually. I believe he did Full Moon Fever. Jeff Lynne produced it,
right?
I believe, and he did it. He had Roy Orbison on there. He had who else did he have on there? Mike Campbell. He had George Harrison. Pretty much the traveling Wilburys.
Right.
Wilburys. And I guess unfortunately Roy Orbison died before the album came out.
Wow. That was after the Wilburys record came out.
Yeah. He died. That song came out in 89. He died in what, 86? Roy Orbison?
86, 87. I mean, right after that album came out, when the first album came out. Yeah.
I went in the Air Force in May of 87. So it was before that because I remember being at this bar. I guess. I remember, I went in May, so it could have been, anywhere up to May. And I was in this bar in Boston that we would go to, and I'm in the bathroom, and this dude busts into the bathroom, fucking wailing like a banshee, just fucking wailing like a crying. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Right? He's like, Roy Orbison died. And he's fucking screaming. He's crying. He was
crying.
Crying. I said, yeah, that's good. Shut the fuck up, kid. I'm trying to piss here. All right.
Wow.
I don't care if Roy Orbison died. At the time, I didn't. I had other things on my mind, but this dude was physically and emotionally devastated.
He was distraught.
That Roy Orbison died. That's a fan.
I think Roy was only 53 when he died. I was in my 20s. I'm like, hey, he was old. I'm like, well, fuck that now, 53. He's young,
He was old. He looked like he was 70. That dude had a hard life.
He had a hard life. Yes, he did. Yeah.
God bless him.
Really.
He got his dues. He finally got the respect because of Dylan, Petty, Harrison, and Lynn.
Yeah.
They said this guy has to get the fucking recognition. Mm-hmm. He has to, and they did. And that dude went out on top, man.
Oh, he absolutely, and he sounded great.
Very few artists get that. Like Dusty Springfield had that hit with the Pet Shop Boys.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
What have I?
Yeah, and that's a great fucking. I'm a big Pet Shop Boys fan. Yep. A great song, and she did a great job on it. And she broke back into the top 40. And everyone started, Dusty Springfield. And she passed away, but she went out fucking not unknown.
No. And people that didn't know her knew her.
Yeah. Our generation didn't really.
No, some of those, some of those other hits too, but I'd get her mixed up with maybe like Petula Clark at some point or.
Exactly.
But I thought the songs were great. Like Jackie DeShannon too. I'm like, I thought they were all the same person, kind of,
Right.
But I heard Roy. I'm like, at least now. Jack said something interesting recently. He goes, and I agree to some extent. And you mentioned something last week too about in relation, like Gordon Lightfoot say, where that when Jack said that men, as they get older, they grow out of their voice. The voice that you knew, all the low end just disappears and all this stuff. But women grow into their voices. So, and you think like you hear Gordon Lightfoot now, it's like a whisper of that deep baritone he had that sang the record, the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's not the same. I mean, so
No.
like I said, going to see someone when they're 80 and 75, you're going for sentiment in a lot of ways.
Hey, I saw a video of Al Stewart doing Year of the Cat at live at Daryl's house, and there was just one note he couldn't hit,
Really?
a little
Okay.
higher note,
Yeah.
but the dude sounded fucking good. He's got to be late
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah. Or mid to late 70s. I saw something not real. It was a concert. He did the Year of the Cat album as a concert. And I heard the Year of the Cat. He sang that. I know what you're saying. Like he sang it because he's so good and such a
It was
professional.
live too, yeah.
Yeah, he was live. He sounded great, but there's certain notes he couldn't hit, but he got around him in a way that it was just,
He dropped it down and
dropped
made
it
it
down.
work.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
You know?
there's stage tuning too. Sometimes, you'll tune down.
Yeah.
Bruce Springsteen, I think he sings better now than he ever did because, I love him, but there were times when he would just be screaming, like not even in a key, it seemed like. But as he's gotten
Yeah.
older, I'm hearing like the voice sounds better that way.
Yeah.
Me,
Bruce, I can't sing Steen, Bruce Screamsteen, with all the names.
Loose bed springs.
Yeah. So Bob Doucette, another music guy.
He wrote a book here.
He said, in honor of the late great rock icon, let's take a look back at Petty's career by the numbers on Billboard's charts. 28, Petty scored a record 28 top 10 hits on the mainstream rock songs airplay chart, more than any other act in the chart's 36-year history. He logged his top 10s between 81 and 99, which makes sense because that's when he put out a lot of fucking music. And thanks, Bob, for that info.
Yeah, thank you. I like it. That had to be a bogus. There obviously was a bogus statistic, And then I saw another chart somewhere else where it said he was one of 8 other artists to have this many top 10 hits within a certain period of time. So
yeah.
Go,
so
Tom. Tom was a hit machine, man.
He was, and again, he said what's that?
No bullshit. No throwaway bullshit.
No
filler.
He couldn't sing other people's lyrics. He had to write them himself. That's why him and Jeff Lynne did so well together, because Jeff Lynne is a melody guy. He puts the melodies together. He put the melody together for Face in the Crowd.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. They were just hanging out one night and he just started strumming it. And Petty's like, oh, that sounds good.
Cool.
I
think Jeff Lynne is a great singer too.
Is he in the Rock Hall of Fame?
I think ELO is. I think they are.
Are they?
Yeah. Did you like ELO?
Yeah. Yeah. Their fucking Greatest Hits album is one of the greatest ever.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I can't stand Roller of Beethoven. I can't handle it. I never liked it. It's just too much for me.
But it was okay.
It's interesting.
Like, I think that was, and we spoke on this a couple weeks ago. I think that is like Donovan's version of Coconut. It's kind of a niche song, Roll Over Beethoven. It's kind of a gimmick song.
Mm-hmm.
Da 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 da. It's not his finest moment, but at the time, it was the shit.
Yeah, what was it? Wasn't that like the first thing they put out?
It was the shit at the time, probably.
Oh, yeah. But even like, the stringer, it's greatly arranged and stuff. You think about it, it's kind of kitschy, but not too kitschy, but because it's classical music. Roll Over Beethoven, so he just added the Beethoven to it.
So name the two singers or the two bands that had an orchestra. A true orchestra.
Well, ELO, of course.
Right.
Moody Blues?
No.
They had an orchestra.
But it wasn't like the Moody Blues wasn't an orchestra though, right?
No, that's true. They might have hired one, but
yeah, they might have hired one.
Is it a rock band?
No. R&B. One of the greatest voices of all time. as distinct as they come.
Not Al Green.
Nope. Dun, dun,
I'm not even gonna say Marvin Gaye.
Nope.
Jackie Wilson.
Nope.
No. Tell me.
Barry White and the Love Unlimited Orchestra.
Love Unlimited. That's right.
Remember, he was the fucking
excellent. Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah. Right. That was mid 70s.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good one,
Yeah.
man. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice trivia.
Again, Barry White. So you don't have to say anything else. That's a guy. Literally, all you got to say is his name.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, oh fuck yeah. No explanation needed.
And
you
for
know
some
what
reason,
that's all about.
Yeah. The word panties comes up a lot when you mention Barry White. I don't know. Did you ever sing a song? Did you ever sing "Take Off Your Panties" on a song, or is that just been extrapolated on? Like that's like an urban legend or urban myth or something.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, that dude. Yeah, Barry White. That's all you need to say. Say no more. Say no more.
You remember the Eddie Murphy old Delirious, the old early '80s when he's talking about like the old R&B singers, and he called Luther Vandross a big Kentucky Fried Chicken eating motherfucker.
Luther was the man too. Luther
he was praising him, but I thought that was an interesting description of somebody.
So I make this sandwich every day after Thanksgiving, and it's literally so it's white bread, extra mayo. Then I put a turkey, stuffing, mashed potato, and it's all cold too. Peas, squash. Right? If there's a slice of ham in there. Cranberry sauce. If it's peas and corn or whatever, then I take the other slice of white bread and I put extra mayo on that over the cranberry. And the thing is literally like 7 inches tall. Like it's
okay.
And I call it the Luther, right? Someone said, why do you call it the Luther? I say, because only the fat Luther Vandross could eat this motherfucker. And every day after Thanksgiving, I go live on Facebook. And I eat that fucking thing.
You eat the Luther, man. I want to see that.
You'll see it. You'll see it.
I'm sure there's some congealed gravy in there somewhere.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. I forgot the gravy, the congealed gizzard, gravy like the. Oh yeah, homemade gravy. That's all. It's all gelled.
Did you say stuffing also?
A picture of it.
All right.
Yeah, I have a picture over the years of all the different Luthers.
Oh my God. That's fun. That's great.
It's become a whole thing. People are like, when's the Luther? What time is the Luther going live?
Wow.
Took on a life of its own.
It's like the dropping of the bowl on New Year's Eve. You got the
I have a pilgrim hat that I wear.
Really?
It's a whole fucking spectacle.
Isn't that Boxing Day?
It's all. No, I think is that the day
after Christmas? That's after Christmas. Okay.
That's Canadian. Who cares about them? But if you're a listener in Canada, I'm only kidding.
That's right. They know rock and roll though. One of the things I like to do in Music Relish, and I like to see what the Canadians like how they charted on certain songs and stuff. But yeah, interesting place.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on. Give me your 5 favorite albums.
Okay.
I have my 5. And I'll tell you, because I've already said this in another episode, but I thought it'd be interesting to get yours. And I think I changed one around, but for the most part, and these aren't in any particular order.
Gotcha.
Sinead O'Connor, The Lion and the Cobra. Fucking perfect album. The Pretenders debut album. And I call it perfect album. There's no throwaway songs.
Yeah.
Every song is good. So the Pretenders debut album. Nico Case Blacklisted. Perfect fucking album. So if you see right there, I got 3 female singers in a row. Right. I just am always drawn to them. Nice. Then the Water Boys, This Is the Sea. Fucking great album. Great album with the Hole of the Moon on it. Mm-hmm. And Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory. That's a fucking great album too.
Okay, I thought you were not a fan of them.
No, I like Oasis.
I thought it was gleaning that you were not a fan of them. Okay.
I just don't think they'll ever be. I love Oasis. Yeah, love them. Okay. But they're never getting back together.
Okay, yeah.
All right, that's my 5. So, but this
Right.
is I want to know what yours are. Yeah.
Mine's a total. Mine's male dominated. So,
Okay.
the Fantastic Expedition of Dillard and Clark. I mentioned that one of our music relish. It's Gene Clark of the after he left the Byrds. Gene Clark of the Byrds and Doug Dillard of the bluegrass band called the Dillards. Ever see the on the old Andy Griffith shows? The old when they show the Jug Hillbilly Band.
Yeah, the Scruggs. The is that no? They did
No,
the Beverly. Yeah, they did the
yeah.
theme to the Beverly
Yeah, the
Hillbillies.
Beverly Hillbillies. But the Dillards were the band on the Andy Griffith Show. Doug Dillard was one of the family members, banjo player, mandolin, stringed instrument, kind of
Yeah,
Americana, Appalachian type of music guy. They
like
did one of the first country rock pioneering albums around the same time that the Byrds did Sweetheart of the Rodeo, when they got Graham Parsons in and kind of changed their sound. A forerunner of country rock. It's it's like they described it as like some psychedelia, baroque pop, country rock, but in the best way. Ever hear the Eagles song, from the first album, "Train Leaves Here This Morning"?
I can't remember it offhand.
Okay, well, Bernie Ledden of the Eagles wrote this with Gene Clark. He's on the record, so I think there's drums on one song, but it's a country rock Americana classic. Check it out, "Fantastic Expedition of Dillard and Clark." It didn't sell well, it was not a commercial success, but influential to a lot of people that the Eagles in particular and Linda Ronstadt, anyone in the country rock vein of the '70s, Poco, they all had this record. I turned Mark and Perry onto it. Mark considers it's one of his favorite records right now.
Lou, I
Um,
love the fucking obscurity. I
oh,
fucking love that
thank
shit.
you, thank you.
I do. I love it.
Scott, I found this on accident because I was reading about a buddy of mine sent me all the Bird CDs because I'm not a big record collector. It's kind of weird. But so I listened. I said I knew most of the music, but then I'm like, well, who are the people in the band besides McGuinn, Roger McGuinn, and David Crosby? And so there were two Clarks, Michael Clark, the drummer, and Gene Clark, no relation. But I said, well, who wrote the songs besides the Dylan tunes? And it was Gene Clark, a really prolific writer. Have you heard the stuff he did? Robert Plant did with Alison Krauss.
Garbage. I didn't like that
You don't
shit.
like it? Okay. Well, they covered
No,
a couple of his songs.
because she's very talented. She's
Mhm.
very talented, but it's just not my style.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. But they pay tribute to him. So
Okay.
anyway, just great album. Also, one of my perfect album and older, Revolver by the Beatles. It's just another perfect record, and nothing too modern in here, except for the '70s. The band's second record, 1969, classic Americana. Just the night to drivel Dixie down, Rag Mama Rag. Just some classic stuff. Up on Cripple Creek is on that record. Born to Run is on my top 5 list. Just that was a formative record for me. Just being a Jersey boy and wanting to play music, and I told you my sister and Max Weinberg were dating at that period, so I
Yeah.
got this. That was my first concert. So and I still love that record. I think it's a classic rock and roll record.
Jungle Land is
Ju-
it's the greatest sax solo in the history of music.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, in rock and roll, it's definitely one up there. It's definitely I think I agree with you. One of the best saxophone solos ever, and I don't think he's highly regarded as a player. Like no one mentions him. You hear Ornette Coleman and jazz players, but he was a great rock and roll saxophone player. And that song is just built. I mean, it's the whole end of the song. On that whole record itself, the whole band is great.
And it starts off, the Rangers had a homecoming in Harlem late last night, and the Magic Rat drove his sleek machine over the Jersey state line. And this is the best line. Barefoot girl sitting on the hood of a Dodge drinking a warm beer in a soft summer rain. That's fucking great, isn't it?
Yeah, you can feel it. So, and being from that part of the state too, once I had to get into his voice because, like I said, like when I first got it, my sister gave me a copy of Born to Run. I'm like who's the singer? He's singing these songs. It was just grating to me. It was like he's not. He even makes fun of his own voice. He's like, I'm not that singer guy. But the interpretation. But like I said, the imagery of those lyrics. I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
warm beer in the soft summer rain. I mean,
That might be some of his best writing in that song.
oh yeah, absolutely. And like Damn the Torpedoes, that was a make or break record. If Bruce
Absolutely.
if he didn't pull that one out, he was done. Because the first two records, have you ever heard them? Greetings from Asbury Park and the Wild Innocent Easter Shuffle.
No, I think I've heard Greetings from Asbury Park. I've heard something up, but not the second one. No.
Yeah, well, if you heard like Rosalita,
Yeah.
that's in the second record.
Okay.
It's good, but I listened to like the rhythm section. The drummer got let go. He was just uneven, very erratic and stuff like that. The rhythm section had issues, but the songwriter was great. But a big leap between those first two records and Born to Run. Born to Run, it's a like almost like a rock opera. But
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
It really is. And I thought it was hilarious that the governor of New Jersey wanted to make it the Jersey State song, and it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't want that.
No, you
You
don't.
really don't want that.
It's a town full of losers.
Out of Jersey. What are you talking about? Like,
Yeah,
why would you do that? Why would you want that to be the song?
Really, it's a death trap. It's a suicide rap.
Yeah. You got to get out while we're young. Did you see the documentary for Making of Darkness on the Edge of Town?
No.
Oh, that's a fucking good one, dude.
Wow, okay. I'll check it out.
Yeah, that's a fucking good one. That's a good documentary. Yeah.
When that record came out, it was so different than Born to Run. It was real stripped down, real, pretty somber record, but still had some great songs on it. But it wasn't as it didn't have the Born to Run had that Phil Spector wall of sound.
Yeah, certainly did.
Yeah. Now that's not on the single Born to Run. That's not Max Weinberg. Max is on every song except the single was another drummer named Ernest Carter, jazz drummer. So you know the break on Born to Run. Before you listen to the drums on it, he's playing some weird shit. And so there's a YouTube video with Max Weinberg being like a deadpan comic. He goes, "I couldn't play that." So they broke down the drum break. It's just this weird jazz shit the drummer threw in the middle of it. Next time you hear it, you're like, it's really unusual. It's subtle, but it's this total jazz Max Roach, Buddy Rich thing he did that wouldn't normally a rock drummer would normally do, but it leads into the end of the song.
Well, no, so that's in the line of Ginger Baker and then following him after this, Stuart Copeland, that kind of offbeat kind of jazz. Is that what it is? It's something like that.
Yeah,
like
definitely jazz influence. Yeah. This wasn't like I've seen Max play that break, and he just goes down. He just plays it more like a rock drum. But this guy, you can tell he had a jazz background.
So there's a video that shows you that breaks that down.
Yeah, they do it sonically where there's that's like a split screen where Max is on one side. It's kind of a comic thing because he acknowledges because I wasn't the drummer on the Born to Run signal.
Do they compare the two though? Do they compare the two?
No, but they kind of they highlight the drum beat, and then they go to Max being kind of comical.
Oh, okay, just commentary. Yeah.
But speaking of Ginger Baker, can we wish him a happy birthday?
Absolutely.
It was last Friday.
Yeah. The greatest drummer ever.
Yes, the greatest drummer ever.
I don't care what you Keith Moon, okay.
Yeah, it was my birthday too.
Yeah, Bonham, great. Kurt, great. I mean, Copeland, great. But Stuart Copeland followed in the footsteps of Ginger Baker on purpose. Like he went out of his way to play like Ginger Baker, and he did a fucking admirable job.
Yeah, while adding his own twist.
Absolutely. That's a guy that doesn't really get enough credit.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't.
But he's up there. He's in the conversation, but he never gets put in the top three. But he's a fucking brilliant drummer. I mean, people always pick these hard-hitting, like Bonham's like a hard-hitting drummer.
Yeah.
Keith Moon's like this like fucking maniacal drummer. He hits hard, Neil Peart, he fucking hits hard, very, structured. Everything is like, but Stuart Copeland and Ginger Baker, just fucking pay attention to them. And I back in, I don't know when it was, but I would listen to the Police and I'd be like, those fucking drums are off key, like they're off beat, kind of like it doesn't sound like it's supposed to work. And people, it's so fucking good that people don't even realize unless you really listen to it. Like Walking on the Moon. Listen to the drums in that.
Yeah.
The way he uses the hi-hats.
And, yeah. I mean, very reggae. Reggae is a totally different rhythm. It's just, the beats, it's different beats than rock. But even still, like he would hit tom-toms where you might go for a cymbal.
Yeah.
And even as a drummer, the first Police record came out in 79, I think, right? 78, 79?
Yeah.
I was just starting to play. I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. I liked it. I said, this is just something about this. I said, but I'm trying to go boom, boom, crack. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like. And some of those punkier songs that work, but even things like "Wrapped Around Your Finger," from the last record, it's just different. He's very unique, but I think he never did anything so virtuosic. Like Neil Peart's a virtuoso. Stuart Copeland worked within those songs, they're tightly constructed songs, but it was unusual. But it wasn't like this like Ginger Baker. The guy was a virtuoso. You can tell a lot of the Cream songs. He was just
Yeah.
he could throw it on there. But the Police were a pop band. But like I
And the
said,
style, the way
he's
they
not
hold.
got what's
Go
that?
on.
No, he's never he's not gotten the credit. I think
No,
that I reckon. And like drummers do, but I mean, and you do, but you're a good music listener. But
right.
most bands, they'll like it, but they just don't. Like I said, it was
I have
hard
to
to get.
tell people about it. That's the
Mm.
thing.
Yeah,
Like there's someone listening going, I never noticed that. Like I'm going
yeah,
to listen to that now and see the
yeah,
difference. And the way they played, the way they held the sticks, jazz.
yeah. He
Not
he
the
played the
north
jazz
to
grip.
south drummers. They were
Yeah,
not north to south drummers with the
yeah,
sticks.
right.
East to west, north to south.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and we were talking about like who are the drummers in rock that play like that. There was quite a few. Charlie Watts played the
Yep.
jazz
Well,
style.
jazz drummer.
Yep.
Jazz drummer.
Stuart Copeland did. Levon Helm from the band.
Right, right.
So these guys, that's older training. But I seen that the video for Synchronicity. The song Another Suburban Family Morning. Stuart Copeland, he's playing that jazz, but he's like his arm is like up in the air, coming down on that thing, playing. I don't know how he did that because the most you see, like, it's a tight roll. He's coming at you like he would with the match grip, like the north and south. But
Yeah. So Dave
yeah,
Phillips and Sticky Fingers, Who's Next? Cosmos Factory, Rubber Soul, and Tapestry.
Tapestry.
Tapestry, like wow, okay, and then you get the Tapestry. Good call. You
Yeah.
can't, you can't not say anything. You can't say, oh, fuck that. No, that's a fucking classic album. Then he said Simon Kirk from Free and Bad Company played that way too.
Yes, he did. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. So where were we? Was that your 5? Did you give me your 5? Or
No,
no?
I didn't mention my fifth one is Murmur by REM.
So give me the top 4 again. Give me a 4 again, just so we get back into it.
Wait, Fantastic Expedition of Dylan Clark.
Right.
Revolver, the Beatles. The band's second record, the band. Born to Run by Loose Bed Springs. And Murmur by REM.
By Loose Bed Springs. Jesus Christ. Okay. Murmur by REM, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a very sentimental record for me. I was a big REM fan. Going till like 88, and then after they went with Warner Brothers, they did Green. It was kind of more pick and choose after that.
Yeah.
But that was one of those bands where I heard Radio Free Europe, their first single, like on a college radio station. Like, is this song from the 50s or 60s or what is this? Twiddling the dial, and I'm like, but they caught me. I just something about they were not. I was this anti-virtuoso thing. I felt like a lot of rock. Classic rock is great, but I thought I was being bombarded by it. So, in the 80s, the whole alternative rock thing was just exploded.
Yeah.
Some good and bad stuff. But that was just a band I thought they kind of caught something. Perry always said that if they ever fired their drummer, that was my gig, but I didn't get it. When Bill Berry quit, I didn't get a call for an audition.
Yeah, I don't think anybody did, right?
No. What they did was when they were in Warner Brothers, and I think Lenny Waronker, one of the producers, and I think he might be the president. His son Joey's a drummer, so he played on some REM stuff post Bill Berry, and then he used Bill Rieflin from Ministry, amongst other bands.
Ministry,
good drummer. He died a couple years ago. Yeah.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, young dude in his 50s.
Yeah,
but he played on the last several records, and their last 2 records are really good. They went out, and it's funny. Their last record is really good for a band that was that old, but no one gave a shit at that point. At least not in America.
Yeah,
But yeah. But,
said he died. He died in his 50s.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some 21-year-old going, he was fucking old.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like Roy Orbison.
50s, he was old.
53. He's done. Now, do you know who they were considering to be the replacement Will Berry for Roy Orbison?
I heard something about this. Nah, who?
Del Shannon.
I got the Schmitties just then.
The Schmitties.
That's what he said. He goes, I'll call him the Schmitties. Like, I know. I just can't remember it. I'm not going to take up time. Del Shannon. Yeah, that's right. Del Shannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That didn't happen.
Nah,
I think
you can't replace him.
I think Roy was partying with the Heartbreakers too much, and that would kill him.
Killed his heart.
Yeah, apparently he would drink a Coke before a vocal take. That was his little like a talisman. That was his good luck charm. He'd drink, I think, a Coca-Cola before he do a vocal take.
Okay, it couldn't have been
Yeah.
the sugar that killed him, could it?
No. High fructose corn syrup.
Nah.
They had that in the 80s. 53. I've outlived him.
Yeah,
You.
I know. Yeah, so have I. Yeah. But like I said, he looked like he was 70.
Now, when John Lennon was killed, did you think 40 sounded old? I was like 18 or 19 when
I was 16.
Okay.
So 40 wasn't even on the fucking map.
It wasn't on the map, no.
No.
Like back then, I remember saying, "How old will you be in the year 2000?" I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, 39? Oh, that'd be fucking old. When you're
Yeah.
14, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
How old are you going to be in 2000?
you
Yeah.
don't know shit when you're young sometimes.
You're going to have flying cars by then, too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we got your five favorite albums out of the way, right?
Yeah.
Moving along. Give me some, not necessarily five if you have five, because it's kind of what the theme is tonight.
Yeah.
Five favorite guitar solos.
Okay.
Now, let me ask you a question before we start this. Is there a difference between guitar solos and guitar songs like the Allman Brothers' Jessica? That's just one big
Yeah.
jam. That's a jam, right?
It's a jam. The
So it's
guitar
not
solo,
considered a solo, so to speak, right?
there's solos within it, but it's all soloing. I mean,
I've seen that
you know.
listed on some and I'm like, I don't know
Mm.
if that can be a solo. Like the solo within a guitar jam, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I would probably think that. I think more in terms of 3-minute rock songs. There's
Yeah.
the intro, verse, chorus, break, guitar solo, back to the chorus or something. Yeah, like that 4-bar or 8-bar break of actually soloing with no other
So,
instrumentation. The classic rock, guitar solo.
but with that, I think the greatest guitar solo then. I don't know. I always say "Maggot Brain" by Funkadelic, but it's
Right. It's the whole piece.
That's a long piece.
Yeah.
Jessica is like a song, like na 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 na, and then it has a lot going on behind it.
Yeah.
Where Maggot Brain is just the guitar. Now it started with the group behind him, had a full band behind him, and George Clinton just phased them out and added in some ambient sounds behind it.
Yeah, he dropped some things out.
He dropped a lot out. Yeah. Like the band, the band behind him.
Yeah.
So I think of that as a guitar solo because it's just him.
And
right?
he's playing like a soloist.
Yeah.
He's playing at times like there's a band behind him, kicking it up. So I know what you mean. That like more so than say Jessica.
Yeah.
It did seem like that was it. That was something that was contrived. No, not contrived like that. But like Maggot Brain sounds like somewhere like it sounds like he played the solo by himself and they added things onto it. So maybe that does qualify. But I did listen to that after you had mentioned that on the show one time.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, sure. I mean, I like that record, by the way. Interesting. I mean, there's acoustic guitar in that.
Yeah.
It's like unusual for something that kind of funky. It was just, but yeah, definitely one of a kind thing.
And that's why when I said that, I said people aren't going to think, no one would ever think that Funkadelic would have one of the greatest guitar songs ever, guitar solos.
Right.
Eddie Hazel was widely considered the heir apparent to Jimi Hendrix after he died.
Okay.
They thought Eddie Hazel, like this guy is going to be it.
Yeah.
And then he died. But it's definitely 10 minutes of fucking guitar history. I'll tell you that.
I like his inspiration for playing that. So, like, imagine your mother just died or something.
Well, he said, go in there and think of the absolute worst thing that could ever happen to you. Like the absolute worst thing. And he went in there and I think he was tripping a little bit too. So started thinking about his mother dying. So you put that together with how the song evolves. Yeah. And you got now you can see it. I got fucking goosebumps from that.
I hear you, man. You can have there's anguish in there,
There really is. In the guitar. Now, if a fucking could pull that off, you can feel what he's playing. That's a fucking great guitar player.
Artistically, I wonder if that takes a toll on your psyche at some point. You know what I mean? It's a gross manipulation of your emotions.
That's a great way to put it, Lou. That's a great way to put it. Absolutely. George Clinton fucked him over then.
He done fucked with his head, man. I know.
Him up.
Yeah, just no,
Got
I'm
his
sure. No, he
masterpiece.
ran with it too. I'm sure he's. Man, you don't know what was going on in his mind when he was playing that. Did he ever explain
Yeah,
that? I was thinking
yeah.
about a whole lot of weird, horrible shit. I don't know.
So give me a guitar solo.
Okay, this is something. It was one of the trivia questions on last week's with Tom, and it was the first rock and roll song to hit #1. Rock Around the Clock. That guitar solo is bizarre. I mean, for a '50s rock song, he's almost shredding. There's some fast notes there,
I never
and
thought of it like that.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
Yeah.
never heard anything. I mean, there was some, but I mean, it's almost wailing in a way.
Was that
And
Dick Dale before Dick Dale?
it's weird. It kind of it's almost jazzy at
Without
points,
the
but
reverb?
it's got that almost that fast flurry of notes right there.
Yeah.
Um, but like when I heard that, I mean, that was also there was a theme song like the Happy Days. So you take the shit for granted a lot of ways. And
That's again great point. Yeah.
yeah,
You do.
but I listened back and said, and if you listen to that the guitar solo, the whole song is rocking, and there's parts where they get the break with the sax and the guitar going down, 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 down. I mean, that's a
Oh
great
yeah,
riff.
yeah. Great break in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you listen, the
It's
guitar's
heavy.
it is, it's distorted. The guitar, and then they were cutting speaker cones back then to get distortion sound. So primitive.
Wow.
But I said that's a pretty ballsy guitar sound, guitar tone for a '50s rock song. But I mean, that was a huge song, and of course, it wasn't the drummer of the band; as a studio guy had to come in and lay the drums down to that. That guitar player, I looked up his name. His name was Danny Cedrone. He died at the age of 33. He fell down a flight of stairs and broke his neck before the song
Jeez.
came out.
Oh,
He never got to experience his mark on history. I love dark rock and roll stories. They can be macabre, but there's a whole shit ton of them, man. That's another
you're
show unto
gonna have to
itself.
come back on because that's an episode. That's a whole show right there. I want to hear
They,
some of that stuff.
oh, I mean, the Bobby Fuller story. You know what Bobby Fuller was? He did first. I Fought the Law.
Oh
Looks
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
almost a Buddy Holly ripoff at times, but his death is still a mystery. But there's suspicion that the Manson family had something to do with it. The record company might have wanted him, worth more dead than alive. But his brother gave interviews saying he thinks the Manson family was hired to kill his brother. He was doused with gasoline in the car, but not set on fire. I mean, not solved
Oh,
to this
we
day.
got to do an episode on this, Lou. We
Yeah,
have
well,
to do an
Scott,
episode on this.
actually, someone started producing a movie about it a couple of years ago, but it seemed to have dropped. But you know who Michael Shannon, the actor, is Michael Shannon. He was in
Now,
Boardwalk Empire.
which character?
I don't know. He played General Zod in the Superman movie with.
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I got you.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and he played the Iceman. I don't know if you saw the Iceman movie about the Iceman killer, but anyway, so he was set to be in it, but I think it kind of dropped. But let's produce this movie. I mean, it's a great story. I mean, but like
Well, I think we have an episode coming up then, my friend.
all right, like
We got
a
to do that.
Halloween,
That's a
yeah,
good one.
rock and roll macabre or something, or just dark
Yeah.
side of rock.
Well, there's a podcast called Disgraceland. Have you ever listened to it?
No,
Oh, Lou. You got now. This
really?
is this fucking
Kind of
podcast.
similar.
This came out like 4 years ago, right? And it's called Disgraceland. If I recommended Business Wars, I highly recommend this one because you're a
Okay.
music guy. And it's so well produced. It's basically, it doesn't tell you the story of Johnny Paycheck, but it tells you there's an episode about Johnny Paycheck, but they tell you a specific story within his life.
Okay.
And the way it's done is fucking brilliant. The dude that put this together, him and his buddies, they fucking struck gold with this because
Wow,
it took
cool.
off. It took off like wildfire. So go listen to Disgraceland.
Okay. Is
You
it
will
something? It's like a kind of a strange, oddball, like macabre stuff like that, or is it just
No, like they
weird?
tell the story. They tell the story of Keith Richards and this blind girl from Canada. It's just like a particular story, not like the history
Mhm.
of the Rolling Stones or Keith Richards' history.
Okay.
A certain incident. They always
gotcha.
focus on a certain incident that happened to this particular rock star or music star,
Okay. Cool.
and
That's
it's
great.
done so fucking well. I mean, you'll fucking love it.
I'll
You'll love
definitely check it out. I mean, I'm kind of new to the world of podcasting and stuff. I heard some things, but like when Perry and I were doing our phone stuff,
Yeah.
that got me into it. But like since then, I've investigated like other subjects too. There's a whole lot of information and cool stuff out there.
Oh, this is a shitload. And like I said, music, people are like, and people, I'm just going to blow my own horn for a minute. People are like, you got a really good show. You and Jack do good. And people love you guys. Like they love you guys coming on. They love, it's a whole different type of vibe, but it's very informative and it's engaging. And people like, and I said, but it's a music podcast. Like music podcasts are a very small niche in the podcast world. Like there is true crime, then there's horror, and then there's like, DIY shit, DIY shit. There's advice, there's this. And like music podcasts are pretty down around the lower middle, I would think. Yeah, it's because there's not a lot of us. There's not a lot of us doing this because, how many people are into music as much as we are?
Right. Most people, they listen to music. They discuss it as such.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what I like about this podcast. I like doing it in a freestyle form. We cover a lot of things, but we can kind of bag on each other, or we can do this, and it's an organic conversation that people follow. They like listening to it, and it's it's funny because you have to. But I don't think I'm ever going to make $1 million off milk crates and turntables. You never know.
I hear you.
Well, what is that supposed to mean?
No, I'm thinking my own perspective as well. No. You have a professional setup here, man. You have a sponsor.
Yeah.
You got a sponsor, man. Come on.
Sponsor.
I was using telephones 3 months ago.
Hey, but you guys have upped your game, and you're only going to get better.
And I got turned on your show through Perry, and once I watched it, I said, this is really cool. I said, but the same thing, we said that too, like, how many people are doing what we do?
Right.
It's, is it geeky? Well, sure. Why not? But it's, music is about listening, but there's stories behind everything.
Yes.
If you watch Get Back by the Beatles, the Peter Jackson film, like, there's things you didn't know. There are things I didn't know. After being a Beatle freak and being the age I am.
Notebook? What? It wasn't in your notebook?
No, I don't. I need to do it.
You're being modest. You're being modest now.
Humility gets me nowhere.
But Disgraceland.
I will check it out.
The logo is an Elvis, like a zombie Elvis. is the logo? It's fucking great. Cool. It's great. All right, so where were we? Guitar solo. So
I named one
around the clock, right?
Yep.
What else you got? Because I got Nutshell. Nutshell by Alice in Chains is such a dark song. Nutshell, I don't know if you've ever listened to it. It got voted one of the saddest songs ever written.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Lane Staley is just it's very moody. It's very dark. And only he could pull this off. I mean, I think everyone that listens knows I'm a fucking big Lane Staley fan.
Yeah.
I thought he was just so underrated in that big picture. I think he had the best stage presence. I think he had a better stage presence than Chris Cornell. And Chris Cornell was a big stage presence. But Lane Staley just had the whole frontman thing going. He was slick. He always had that, like, the wraparound sunglasses, or he could change his look. And he had that haunting voice, that nasally, very unique voice. But
the way they sing together too.
Yeah, we had Jerry Cantrell.
Yeah.
But without Lane Staley, Alice in Chains, they bombed. They didn't. They never reached. So Jerry Cantrell couldn't carry that. He couldn't carry Lane Staley's absence. He just couldn't, and he still hasn't. Wow. Again, the lead singer now is fucking horrible, but hey, listen, they tour under the name Alice in Chains. So
now, was he supposed to be a copy?
No,
of him,
he's a black dude. Just kind of rock and roll black dude. But he just doesn't have. You can't sing those fucking songs.
Yeah, some things can't be replaced. It's we were mentioning, the Eagles. They're not the Eagles without Glenn Frey.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
who did they bring in? They brought in the Eagles brought in
Vince Gill.
Yeah, no, just not fucking happening. No.
Yeah.
Don Henderson just go fucking do a solo tour.
Yeah.
Just do that.
And do Eagle songs.
And do Eagle songs.
Yeah.
He has enough catalog. But Nutshell, right as his like at the right at the end of Lane Staley's lyrical part, it just kind of he's at his deepest. Then he just stops. The verse just kind of stops, and Jerry Cantrell picks up the guitar, and it just goes for the rest of the song. It's so fucking good. Such a great song. So write that one down to Nutshell by Alice in Chains. And it is, and I've said this before, and I've said it again. I've said it fucking 20 times on this podcast. If I said it 100, that the Alice in Chains Unplugged is the best fucking Unplugged. Nirvana's doesn't count because it's not unplugged. It's got electric guitar in it, but it's Nirvana, so they give them all the unplugged shit. But Alice in Chains, if you want to watch a great fucking Unplugged, watch the Alice in Chains Unplugged. It's so fucking good. So fucking good. And that was it for Lane Staley. Like, at one point during the show, he says, we should get together. We should start doing this again. And Jerry Cantrell's like, whoa, easy. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that later. Let's just get through this.
Wasn't Jar of Flies basically a fluke album, or was it something where they had some demo acoustic stuff and the record company liked it more than they did? And
something like that. I wouldn't doubt it. I don't know that story. I've heard a little bit, but I wouldn't doubt it because they were that fucking good.
Yeah.
You know? So
like they had some,
what's that?
It's like they had some acoustic tracks and they just said, I've read companies said, you really should run, they have a lot of influence. You should really run with this.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of hits and we won't put your record out unless you do it anyway,
Exactly.
They have that power to reject your record after all your hard work and,
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, give me another one.
All right. It's a weird one. I like concise music. I like jam stuff with extended music, but I'm a sucker for a 2-minute, 3-minute song. And this is so weird because I've heard it recently. And is the Police song, "Driven to Tears."
Oh, great!
That guitar solo is out to lunch for a hit rock and roll song. That was like they're doing some jazz fusion freak.
Good call.
It is so bizarre. It is I don't know if that's atonal. It's just so strange. And another underrated guitar player.
Yeah.
And another one that just, he wasn't a virtuoso on any of his Police songs, but the lines he played, he wasn't always strumming, But first time I heard on the radio, I'm like, this is on the radio. And that's like a 3-minute pop song with a total screwball guitar solo. I love that shit because it's just, at one point when he played that, I could picture be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Now I'm going to go back and listen to that now.
It is so, it's screwy. It is just, it's nuts. It's just, it's like Mars or something,
Yeah.
The Police song, "It's All Right for You." I don't know what's on the first or second album. "It's All Right for You."
Yep.
There's a slide guitar solo in there. Like, that's the only time the Police put a slide guitar in anything they did. Unusual. And like, I heard that recently too. I'm like, I forgot about that. So that is just weird,
It's not one of their better songs though. I'm not a big
no. It's like them being kind of punk, but it moves well enough. But I think that guitar solo kind of makes it. But it was just another thing where it's like he threw in something totally strange, and it worked.
Yeah. Paranoid Android. Johnny Greenwood, that came out in 97. The guitar solo in that, it's just haywire.
Now, who's that?
From Paranoid Android. I'm getting a Schmitty. I'm pulling a Schmitty now. Fucking Radiohead. Oh, fuck.
Okay.
Forget that. Yeah, Radiohead. Johnny Greenwood is the guitarist. And yeah, Paranoid Android. Go listen to that. That's got a fucking crazy. You want to talk about haywire guitar solo in that. Yeah, that's a good one. So what else you got?
Let's see. It's actually from the band's second record. It's a Robbie Robertson guitar solo on the song "Unfaithful Servant." Have you ever heard the record?
No.
And it's you've heard in selection. You've heard like "Night That Your Old Dixie Down."
Yeah.
"Rag Mom" right up on Cripple Creek. It's a great record. It was considered maybe one of the first Americana records. It's an acoustic song. Really, it's about a sort of a servant of sorts that is basically leaving the plantation, having scorned, the madam kind of thing. It seems like it's set in the past. A lot of that record is set like in old America. But the guitar solo, it's a really beautiful acoustic guitar solo. It's really quiet, but you can hear him breathing in it. And he was saying like because the guitar solo goes, I was hardly breathing the whole time I played that guitar solo. It's very emotional, but it's very delicate in a lot of ways. Just a great song. It's got a nice horn section on it. It's an album. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It moved me a lot of ways. But as a guitar solo, it's a lot of emotion there, but it's packed into a very short song. It's strictly acoustic, but it's just it relates to the song really well emotionally. Like you can hear the sadness and regret in this guitar solo, and that's what the song's about. That it's about you kind of messed up and you got to leave, and but
Again, if
this
you feel the soul,
yeah
coming out,
yeah
in the guitar solo, then that's a home run.
yeah, and especially if it's something there's it's not amplified. It was probably a little acoustic guitar. It's an acoustic song. There's no electric. There's electric bass on it. But that's one thing I think he was proud of. People give Robbie Robertson a lot of flack for being whatever the history of the band, and I think there's a lot of conjecture there. I think he wrote most of those songs. I just think he got some help. Maybe today those credits would have been distributed a little more evenly or a little more generously.
Yeah,
But like he had no major co-writes on most of that stuff. Got some help, but a lot of that stuff was just him.
yeah.
They have a weird story too. So that band basically they dissolved because of the excesses of '70s rock and all that stuff. And he was caretaking them at the end. There was some live stuff of the band's last tour before they did the last waltz. Some of it's hard to listen to. Some of the guys in the band were not in the best shape. You know, Sadly, Richard Manuel, he's a piano player and vocalist on a lot of the stuff, and he just rough shape. It's just kind of trouble. So he bailed out when it was time to bail out, and they did the last waltz, and that was that. But that's just I think it's just a really beautiful guitar solo.
He had told the keyboard player, the piano player, he had told his he was classically trained, and he had told his parents that he was playing for some like orchestra or something. Like they didn't know he was in a rock
In a
band.
rock and roll band.
He's
And I
like, they
think
would have fucking died if
oh,
they
yeah.
knew I was playing in a rock band.
Absolutely. Especially
Yeah.
with their background, they were Ronnie Hawkins, the rockabilly singer's backup band. He just died recently. He was a guy like, he on the cusp of success. He sold a lot of records, but toured everywhere. That's when he made his money touring, but he lived up in Canada where he was a big fish in a small pond. He was a smart guy. Yeah, but I also think, they had to pay him for lessons. When his parents eventually said, "Oh, you can play with him," the rest of the band had to pay him for music lessons just to justify his background and his
That's right.
education.
That's right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the greatest keyboardists in rock and roll, Garth Hudson, he got some crazy ass like this song "Chest Fever." It starts with Bach. It's a kind of a classic rock staple, but you listen to the beginning of that, there's this weird mad wizard freaking out. I mean, organ freak out.
Is it like the Phantom of the Opera opening?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's exactly what he is. And
That's what it is. Right?
have you seen The Last Waltz?
Yeah, a long time ago. I haven't seen it in a while.
He's so eccentric. If you watch him, he's just he's got this big beard. His hair's all flinging out, but he's like behind the keyboard. He's like I said, like the Phantom of the Opera. But
Yeah.
the sound he created it was just amazing.
Yeah. I would be remiss. My friend Phil Kelly, I was supposed to read off his top 5 albums, so we're going to go back
All right.
a little. In no order, he said Tool, Lattice, Van Halen, Fair Warning, may not be their best, but his favorite.
Interesting.
Sticky Fingers, he said that's close one with Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. The Who, Quadrophenia, Townsend's last great album, he said. Power drumming, horns, etc., and Led Zeppelin 3.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's a good list. That's a good list.
that's my pinball machine, Led Zeppelin 3.
That's cool. What make pinball machine is that?
Stern.
Stern. Okay, never heard.
Yeah. Yeah. They make good pinball machines. Look them up. They get the license for a lot of good, like a lot of bands. I think they did a Rush pinball machine.
Cool.
And yeah, there's a lot of them. Look them up. They're not cheap, but they're fun to have.
I grew up with pinball machines. We had our roller skating rinks. We had pinball machines
Yeah.
like Bally. That's mentioned in Pinball Wizard, the Bally table. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Actually, Asheville has a pinball museum, and my son we're going to it, but we haven't been there. It's a place called the Grove Arcade in Asheville. But they have a pinball museum.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll take some
That's
pictures.
Asheville, not Nashville. Asheville.
Asheville, yes.
North Carolina.
North Carolina.
There you go.
Maybe soon to be home of a friend of ours.
Really?
A friend of ours is thinking I'm moving up. But
Would that be Tom?
would be Tom Spallone, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Leaving Boca.
Even Boca.
That might be cool. I don't know. Boca's high. I can't leave Boca. I can't leave.
No.
I like it here.
My brother's there.
You were saying that, yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying that. Does he know about music?
He's a guitar player.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in fact, my first band was him. He's my younger brother by 3 years. It was him on guitar, me on drums, and our other older brother on vocals. So we had 3 brothers in the band and two other guys. But yeah.
Did he does he play still? Does he play with any bands? Does he play
He
around?
does little solo stuff here and there. He did something recently at a restaurant about a month ago, somewhere in Boca. Doing the acoustic singer-songwriter stuff.
Okay.
I'm
right.
playing Friday. After it's been a long time since I did another gig, but I'm playing at the Asheville Guitar Bar on this Friday.
Excellent.
Yep. Yeah, it's a big blues jam. There's this guy that he does a Friday night blues jam. I played several times, but he's having it's his birthday bash. So I'm not in the house band this time, but I'm one of the featured
Excellent.
guests. Yeah,
Which
it's
set
gonna be.
list? Do you know what your set list is?
No, it's gonna be
Yours?
total winging it. It's blues, mostly like Chicago blues. But
Oh, okay. All right.
But there's gonna be a shit ton of people there, so I don't know who the hell I'm gonna play with. So it's
There
gonna be
you go.
improv.
Just have fun. It's all it's about.
I love flying by the seat of my pants. It's great.
There you go. Kind of like this show.
Yeah, exactly. It's all free form. You don't know where it's. It goes up and down. It goes. Yeah, this has been up. This has been a great show.
All right, I'm going to move on. I want to give you your 5 questions.
Oh shit!
I know we got some more guitar solos, but just give me a quick run off of the rest of your guitar solos.
Okay. The Beatles. You can't do that.
Okay. All
That's
right.
John Lennon playing the guitar solo. It's so rhythmic, but it's so indicative of the way he played it. He was more of a aggressive. He wasn't very lyrical in his guitar playing.
Right.
But it's just something. It's got such punch to it, and a great song. But my last one was the guitar solos on the Beatles. The end, at the very end of the song, the 3 guitar solos. Do you know the order in which they were played? Who played what? It was.
I don't.
It was when McCartney did the first one, then George, then John. So when they rotate, John does the very last one before that, and then the end. So, but I listened to it and McCartney's a great guitar player. That's another thing. Yeah. But all 3 solos are very indicative of the way they played. But that was Harrison's idea. Apparently, was to add guitar solos there. But pretty cool shit.
I had I had Sympathy for the Devil, and then While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Okay.
Not the Eric Clapton version. The Prince
version. Yeah.
That's fucking. I say that is the greatest guitar solo ever.
It's one of yeah.
When those motherfuckers step aside for him,
yeah,
and he owns the stage. He is not intimidated by these guys.
Oh fuck no.
He's like, I'm fucking Prince, motherfucker.
Oh, he was on fire. He was on fire.
Oh, and when George Harrison's son, I still every time I watch that, look at his face when he's watching Prince play. And at one point, Prince falls back into his guy, and his guy pushes it. And Harrison's son is just like, his face lights up. Like, what the fuck?
That was a jaw dropper,
Oh, yeah. God, got to be the greatest guitar solo ever. I don't care.
Have you ever seen that concert in its entirety? It's the concert for George. It's a tribute. It's amazing. That band is so hot. I mean,
Tom Petty was there, right?
Tom Petty was there. The Heartbreakers. Gary Brooker from Procol Harum.
Yeah.
Jim Keltner. There's 2 drummers. Jim Keltner is one of them. He's the 5th Beatle. He's that studio guy. He played on everything.
Right.
And the other drummer is a session guy. He's known for playing on Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street.
Okay.
He's a session guy extraordinaire. But all the guitar players. I mean, one of the guitar players I think played with System of a Down on one of their records. He's the guy. He's the guy with the Scully cap on.
Oh, okay.
He played a lot of the slide stuff, but he's a session guy that's playing a lot of metal. But that band was gold, though.
Yeah.
But Billy Preston.
That's right.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right, 5 questions, Lou.
All right.
5 questions.
Lower your expectations.
Here we go.
No, let's do it.
Question number 1. Which artist's entire 1985 Live Aid set consisted of just a single cover song?
Live Aid. Damn.
The set was just a cover song. That was it.
I don't know.
It was Elvis Costello, and he sang "All You Need Is Love." Right. The event was running long, so they basically told him ditch the band.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't want to set up. They didn't
Wow.
want to do a whole setup. And he had the beard back then. He was growing a beard, like long, but it was there.
That was 85. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, he introduced the song as an old Northern English folk song. Yeah, and had the crowd singing along with him. It was.
Did you see the whole show?
I was listening to some of it on the radio. I just woke up at some girl's house, and I was driving back it was in another town, and I listened to the beginning of it on the radio, and then I kind of caught it throughout the day. Yeah, I had friends. Friends were there.
I was home, and it's funny because I was watching some things, and I was like flipping around, and I went to public television, and ever see the movie Failsafe?
Yeah,
Henry Fonda. That was on, and I started watching it. I got riveted by Failsafe. And I missed sections of live. I missed. I think I see Phil Collins come off the Concorde after having grown a beard over the Atlantic on his 9-hour super. But I missed parts of live because that movie. I ended up buying the movie as a result because I was just like I was riveted. But then I go back to live and I'm like, holy shit! And I'm like, I might have missed Elvis. But that was a good question. All right, that's one I didn't get.
Number 2. Question number 2. Jimi Hendrix only had one top 40 hit. Which song was it?
All Along the Watchtower.
There you go. There you go, buddy.
All right.
Redemption. All right.
Really? My redemption song.
Question number 3. Speaking of the police, what book do the police reference in Don't Stand So Close to Me?
Lolita.
There you go. All right.
That was that book by Nabokov, wasn't it?
Yep, Nabokov. Yeah. All right. Question number 4. What did Stevie Ray Vaughan name his most beloved guitar? It had to be that Fender Strat with the fucking the glitter or the whatever SRV on it. The sticker all beat up.
What would he name that? Mom.
Nope. Jimbo.
Jimbo? After what? What was it? No inspiration.
I don't know the backstory. Yeah. All right. So this is it. This is it. The make or break. You're 2-2. Question number 5. Which Elton John song did the Beach Boys record in 1991? Which Elton John song did the Beach Boys record in 1991?
Couldn't be Kokomo. He didn't write that.
No.
Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me?
Nah. This is a Beach Boys song, I would say. If they were going to cover a song, it would be this one. Crocodile Rock.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I could see them doing that.
All right.
I couldn't see them doing Don't Let the Sun Go Down.
I'm just thinking the beach and the sun. I don't know. I'm thinking surfboards.
Hey, it was a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Well, Lou, you were 2 out of 5.
Man.
Getting better because you only got 1 the last time. You're climbing the ladder, Lou.
I'm coming after you, Tom. I'm coming after you.
Because he got 2.
I'm gonna get. Speaking of beavers, I'm gonna get Mike Love on you. Easter chicken shit the jam with the Rolling Stones. Those are good questions, man. What is your sourcing for this? Madness.
I will not give my sources away. I will not give my sources away.
I respect that.
But I don't think for 1 second that anybody listening doubts your music knowledge because you can't get trivia questions. That's all I'm going to say about that.
I feel good. I'm all right. I got 2. I improved from the last time.
That's all you want to do. Keep improving, right? All right, time for this top 10 this week in 1992. Number 10, Life is a Highway, Tom Cochrane. Fucking hate that song. Number 9, Stay by Shakespeare's Sister, who one of the girls married the guy from the Eurythmics, Dave Stewart.
Dave Stewart. Oh.
Number 8, Just Another Day, John Cicada. Number 7, Give Him Something He Can Feel by En Vogue. Number 6, Humping Around by Bobby Brown. Number 5, I fucking hate this song. I didn't like it when it was out, and I still don't like it. Baby Got Back, Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Okay.
And 92. Number 4, I actually do like this song. This Used to Be My Playground by Madonna. I like that song. Number 3, Take a Bow is my favorite Madonna song. That's a really good song. That's a very, very good song. Number 3 this week in 1992, November Rain by Guns N' Roses. Number 2.
I hate that one.
Yeah, that one, yeah, you liked it and then you didn't, right?
After a while, I was like, meh.
Yeah, I don't really listen to it when it comes on. Yeah, I really don't. I don't know if there's any songs other than if anything comes off of Lies, then which you never hear on the radio, so I don't really,
right.
Everything is always from Appetite for Destruction or Use Your Illusion, 1 and 2. Number 2 this week in 1992, Baby, Baby, Baby by TLC. Talk about a group that got fucked over. Oof.
Business-wise?
Oh,
really?
They got fucking robbed. And number 1 this week in 1992, End of the Road by Boyz II Men.
Wow.
Yeah, that's one of those nostalgic songs, but it doesn't mean I like it.
It's funny if you look at like 10 years before that, what was in top, how music has gone,
well, look at the rap, look at what I read off earlier in the show. The fucking garbage
worse
list any day. With Baby Got Back and everything.
Yeah. And I was drawing a blank on almost every one, except maybe 3 of those songs. I'm like, don't know it, never heard it. Don't know it.
Yeah, that's we were at that age where you didn't really pay attention to music that much. We had kids and you heard what you heard, but did you really follow it that much? Did you try to keep up?
Yeah, I had a kid at 45. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was 2006. Yeah, I'm a late bloomer, as you noticed by my trivia showing.
Lou's fucking virile. He's very virile.
Mom was 16 years younger than me. I'm a dog, man. I'm a hound dog.
Yeah, hello. That's something to be proud of, my friend.
My first wife was 8 years younger than me.
There you go.
I've done the math. My next wife will be like 36.
I was gonna say she's got to be maybe 32, 36.
I just turned 61. It's gonna kill me.
No.
I've learned.
It's worth dying that way.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got to tell you, absolutely. Why not?
All right, this day in music. On this day in 1963, Stevie Wonder became the first artist ever to score a U.S. #1 album and single in the same week. Wonder at #1 on the album charts with Little Stevie Wonder, the 12-year-old genius, and had the #1 single. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. Fingertips, Part 2. This was also the first ever live recording to make it to #1.
It was live, yeah.
Greatest musician ever. Greatest music guy ever.
Yeah, absolutely incredible.
The most talented, I should say. The most talented music guy.
Yeah. I'm happy my son is a big fan of him.
Good. Yeah.
Can't go wrong.
On this day in 1966, the Doors started recording their first album at Sunset Sound Recording Studios in West Sunset Boulevard, Los Angeles, California, and the rest is history. On this day in 1975, this is brutal. Queen started recording Bohemian Rhapsody at Rockfield Studio in Monmouth, Wales. The song was recorded over 3 weeks. Freddie Mercury had mentally prepared the song beforehand and directed the band throughout the sessions. May, Mercury, and Taylor, get this, sang their vocal parts continually for 10 to 12 hours a day, resulting in 180 separate overdubs.
Wow.
That's fucking crazy.
That's demanding.
Jesus Christ. But hey, it's a legendary song.
Yeah. Was it Roger Taylor, the drummer, right? He sang all those. He's the guy on top, the high parts. I mean, that's like.
Yeah. He's the Michael Anthony of Queen. Bring it full circle. You always got to bring it full circle.
Yeah, he pretty much is. Yeah. I think he sang some leads, though. I think he sang I'm in Love with My Car. and a few others. But I was reading, like I said, I wonder who did the harmonies. I'm like, so he was at the. I mean, that's bizarre. It's amazing,
Yeah.
with the talent. But like to do that for 10 hours.
Oh, 10 to 12 a day.
Yeah. Oh my God. Wow.
Jesus.
And they were in their 20s too, by the way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury was the man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
With his 4 extra teeth.
So his teeth. Yeah, I
You'll never
know.
forget that, will you?
I think that's bullshit, but I think it's a great myth.
I wouldn't give Jack credit for the answer. He said his teeth. I said, what about his teeth? Because I should get posture. I said, no.
No, there's a scientific reason why this is doing it,
Yeah. You can have an overbite or you have 4 extra teeth. There's a difference. It's very specific. No partial points. On this day in 1977, singer-songwriter Waylon Jennings was arrested and charged with possession of cocaine. Jennings, I know those guys were fucking crazy, man.
Yeah,
they were outlaws. Yeah. Like the country western guys, they were fucking outlaws, man.
They're survivors, man. I mean, he's a survivor. He survived the Buddy Holly thing. He could have been in Buddy Holly's plane.
I'm telling you, check out Disgraceland, the Johnny Paycheck episode. It's fucking. They're all crazy. But that one's great. Johnny Paycheck was all we know him for is Take Your Job and Shove It, right? Because he was mainstream. But he had a fucking following, and that dude was out of fucking control.
Wow.
Johnny Paycheck he was a lunatic.
Do you know who Hoyt Axton was? Songwriter.
Hoyt Axton was he was an actor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he acted, but he wrote Joy to the World.
Yeah.
He was a songwriter, but he was one of these guys in those Laurel Canyon books. He was like a vampire carousing. I can't picture he looks like this big uncle guy, Mr.
Yeah.
But he was this party vampire carousing the hills of Laurel Canyon, like looking for a good time. Those like this. That sounds similar to what you're talking about in Disgraceland. We're like, who knew? Like these weird stories and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I don't think
right up my alley, man.
Somebody else was an actor, but yeah.
No, he'd acted in. He definitely. He was in Gremlins.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I do heard that. All right. On this day in 1981, the Rolling Stones released their 18th studio album, whatever the fuck it was. Tattoo You. Great album.
Yeah.
Great album.
That has a little TNA on it.
Yeah. It's a good fucking album. That was a follow-up to Some Girls, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that has Emotional Rescue on it? Was that the record?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. They it's almost like they had leftover songs from Some Girls.
Yep.
Because it's almost in the same vibe.
Yeah. You couldn't write a little TNA now anyway. My little bitch.
Fuck them. They will. I'm telling you, these bands that shit ain't gonna last.
No, I love Keith's solo work in the Stones. Some of the songs he sang. Happy.
Yep. Yeah, Happy's a great song. Yeah. Yeah. On this day in 1985, Huey Lewis and the News started a 2-week run at #1 on the U.S. singles chart with The Power of Love, as featured in the movie Back to the Future.
Right.
On this day in 1991, Lenny Kravitz was at #2 in the U.S. singles charts with It Ain't Over Till It's Over. Held off #1 position by Bryan Adams' Everything You Do. I fucking hate that song. See, that didn't line up. That did not line up. No, I did 1992. I was like, this is 91. I was like, how is that not on my top 10 list? What is going on here? Yeah. A year later, on this day in 1996, Oasis singer, and I remember this, Oasis singer Liam Gallagher failed to turn up for the recording of the band's MTV Unplugged session at London's Royal Festival Hall in front of 400 fans. Later sat in the audience and watched the show with his brother Noel taking over the vocals. He didn't just sit in the stands. He was up in the balcony. He was heckling him.
Really?
Heckling his brother. And he says at one point, Noel Gallagher looks up and says, shut the fuck up. Right? Why don't you just shut the fuck up? Right? He had said that I can't sing my voice. It's my voice. I can't sing today. So he kind of like Tom, but see, that was the beginning of the end because Noel Gallagher could pull those songs off.
Well, that's what I heard. I'd heard about that gig. I didn't know that. I know Liam was heckling him.
Yeah. Watch it on YouTube.
Okay. Not even the Kinks would do that.
No, he did a good. He held his own, and he did a good job. Yeah, he did a very good job.
All right.
On this day in 1996, Missing by the UK duo Everything But the Girl and I Miss You. I like that song. Broke the all-time U.S. chart stay record, meaning the longest on the chart, previously held by the Four Seasons, December 1963, oh, what a night, when it appeared on the Billboard chart for the 55th week. On this day in 1998, this is right up your alley, producer Gene Page died after a long illness. He worked with Barbra Streisand, Barry White. His two words. The Righteous Brothers, Dobie Gray, Bob and Earl. Produced Whitney Houston's Greatest Love of All and Roberta Flack's Tonight I Celebrate My Love.
Oh, wow. So that's a pretty wide span.
Yeah. And on this day, and it was a sad day on this day last year, 2021, when Charlie Watts died.
Yeah.
At the age of 80. Originally trained as a graphic artist, Watts developed an interest in jazz at a young age, joined the band Blues Incorporated. He also started playing drums in London's rhythm and blues clubs, where he met future bandmates Mick Jagger and Keith Richards and Brian Jones. In January 1963, he left Blues Incorporated and joined the Rolling Stones as a drummer and remained with the group for 58 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Another underrated great.
Yeah.
Charlie had the feel.
My buddy that was on earlier, Mark Talent, just absolutely, he's like, he was fucking horrible. He was no good. He didn't do this. He's one of those guys that just didn't appreciate Charlie Watts.
Yeah.
No matter what you say to my buddy, he's going to be like, fucking, what's he doing? He just sits there. I said, if you can keep up with Keith Richards and, and whoever it was, Mick Taylor, Brian Jones, fucking, you got to keep Mick. Yeah. And then Ronnie Wood.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something.
If you listen to the I heard Paint It Black today. I mean, that's his version of Wipeout. I mean, the drum, he's all over that drum kit. Yeah. Even some of his fills, he did these little Charlie things that only he did. It's hard. I couldn't explain it, but like the way he hit the hi-hat and the snare, he wouldn't hit them at the same time sometimes.
Yeah.
Some of his fills are very unique, very creative. But
listen, if he wasn't good enough, they
wouldn't have been there. Yeah.
It would not. It's not like we like him. We're just the biggest band in the world. We like him. So we keep him around.
That's a good kid.
Charlie over there. Hey, look at old Charlie.
Yeah. What would he do otherwise? Yeah. Ringo, the same thing. People are like, was he that good a drummer? Like, don't even get me started on that.
Yeah,
shit.
don't.
I got all day. I got all day for you on that.
Yeah.
Do you think that Charlie Watts story is true that Mick Jagger apparently was drunk and they were at a hotel on tour?
My drummer.
Yeah. Is it true? I want it to be true.
Yeah. It's true.
I love him.
It's true. Charlie Watts got up and fucked him up.
He just fucking decked him.
You're my lead singer.
Oh.
We're right.
I read something somewhere before I heard that story. I read something like Rolling Stone or like Musician Magazine, and Keith Richards is saying, you don't want to be on the end of his fist.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why. I don't know. I think it's the hard, as a drummer, hard-hitting drummer, But then when I heard that story, I said, well, that's probably why. I guess Keith probably heard the story and Charlie knocked him down.
He was older than the rest of them, so he was kind of like, don't fuck with me, kid, type attitude.
Yeah, that's right. He made his bones, man. Don't fuck with Charlie.
Yeah. I love the fact that he had a fucking major car collection, but didn't have a license.
Really?
Never had a license. Yeah. Never had a driver's license, but he had a fucking major car collection.
Had a fleet of cars. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Charlie.
And born today, nobody important.
Nobody.
Done, Lou.
Nobody on August 24th?
Nobody. Huh?
Nobody on August 24th of note.
Yeah, nobody that matters. A lot of nobodies were born today. except for who did we say happy birthday to earlier? Oh, that was earlier. Was it Ginger Baker?
Yeah, that was August 19th.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, all right, buddy. Fuck another home run, if you ask me.
I think so. It was great. I had a lot of fun.
Another 2-hour extravaganza. The seat was all yours tonight, Lou. You did. I know.
Thank you. I'm honored. I was expecting Tom to be here.
Well, he did say he had some stuff that he had to take care of. So I know he would have been because he likes coming on. So it wasn't like, I don't think Tom's going to ghost me. I don't think so.
No, he's
I'm too nice. He's too nice.
He's a good guy.
Tom would be the guy be like, hey, Scott, listen, I'm sorry, buddy. I got to ghost you. Like, he'll
Let you know.
Yeah, he'll let me know that he's ghosting me, which defeats the whole purpose of ghosting.
Exactly.
Kevin Corkum, great show. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate that. And Lou, once again, buddy, I appreciate your time. I respect your knowledge.
Thank you.
Come on anytime you want. You guys, I love you guys. You changed the whole dynamic of this show. We get to go in different, I get to go in different directions with you guys and Jack. And
Same here, man.
It really kind of excites me to you do a show for a while and you get into a groove and everything's good. Like me and Jack are always good, but every once in a while it's good to shake it up.
Yeah, sure. And the influence goes the other way. But the same to me. I've listened to things that you suggested and other. So I got some things to check out the next time I see you. And it's great.
Yeah.
I love sharing this because it doesn't get stale.
Nah, you're right. It doesn't. It doesn't get stale, man. It doesn't get stale. And good luck with the music relish. Tell Perry I'm still hunting him down, buddy. I'm gonna get him.
You're gonna get him. You're persistent. You're not giving up, are you?
I'm not, I don't forget. I don't forget. Listen, because of him, I technically found you, Mark, and Tom. So
really, that's true.
Well, yeah, because he would watch the show. He used to always dude had fucking great shit. When I remember first seeing it, he dropped a comment, and I'm like, oh shit, yeah. And I would say Perry Dedovich, and he would continue, and I this dude knows. In my head, I'm like, this fucking dude knows what he's talking about.
And that's
good knowledge.
We talk on the phone because we don't live in each other. So there were times I said, just like a lot of people, he suggested one thing. He goes, we're doing a podcast. I'm like, I said, really? I said, we're just shooting the shit like we normally do. And he goes, no, there's music podcasts out there where people talk about, the workings of music, not just, songs. And he goes, I've been listening to these guys, Milk Crates and Turntables. And so that, they said, that leads to this, that leads to that. And, and your show's great. I mean, like I said, I watched all last week. I wish I'd tuned in earlier, but
yeah. And the people that watch, Dave Phillips, old music guy, Bob Doucette, Mark Town, all these guys. I think Kevin Corkum knows a little about music. The people that watch it, that's why the podcast is kind of unique. You know what I mean? Music podcasts are very niche because it's people like that pay attention.
Yeah.
They like here, and it's almost like they feed, and then they always contribute, which is why I love doing the live stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always contributions. So again, my friend, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with me and the listeners. And this we got a long road ahead of us, my friend.
All right.
Plenty more shows to do.
I'm there, man. I'm there always.
So you tell Perry, man, don't forget. I don't forget. I'm going to get him.
I'm saying this guy's after you, man. He trained dogs.
He's got to take a Wednesday night off. He has to.
Call in sick. They're not going to know.
That's it. All right. And for the listeners and the viewers, thank you very much. I always appreciate your time. I appreciate your input. Like I always say, you are the engine that runs this machine. Without you, I would just be having a great conversation with Lou, and you guys would fucking miss out on it. See? And to quote my favorite artist, Morrissey, doing this show for you, the pleasure, the privilege is mine. And I will be back next Wednesday, maybe with Lou again. You never know. All right, buddy.